All right, welcome to Live the Now with Dr. Suzanne Dobson, Christy Ridley, Rhonda Wells, and Tia Wilkes. And today we are going to discuss perseverance, the power of perseverance, or maybe lack of perseverance, depending on your situation. All right, so remember each time we come together, we're coming together with topics that we have all faced and that we want others to learn from what we have found. And of course, we're always open to new topics as well. And these topics that we're pulling in are things that we are facing or we're helping others in our lives face. So this whole podcast idea and everything is just simply about helping others and doing what we do best as teachers and mothers and wives and friends and family, and that is talk and try to support. So for perseverance, Miss Ridley, Miss Christie, why do we sometimes feel like giving up? What about you? Because I don't see you ever giving up on anything.
So I will say several years ago, I had a pretty bad thing happen to me in my career. I was teaching math, and I had taught math for 24 years. And math was the love of my life. It's all I knew. I was comfortable there. I was a happy camper.
You were very good and very effective.
And I loved it, yes. But my test scores were not where they needed to be. And so we're data driven. And so I was told that I needed to change subjects, which to me, it blew my mind because I've never worried about test scores. I worry about confidence and making them feel like they can do math and, I'm the little battles, the little wins. That's what I care about. The kids that struggle. That's who I love to teach. Cause I was very patient and, and if we can get something right, then we're good. I'm not worried about achieving the highest. So anyway, I had to come to terms with the fact that I had to change what I've only ever known and teach something totally different. So I went through I went through the period of, I feel like it was a loss for me. I went through a loss. So I went through all the different parts of it, the anger, the sadness, the feeling like I needed, I felt like giving up. Like, do I need to move on? Do I need to go somewhere else? Do I need to do something? What do I need to do with my life? And I had to come to grips with the fact that I know that I'm a good math teacher. I know that I'm a good teacher. I know that what I did made a difference in kids' lives. And so at that point, then I thought, well, I'm going to teach something else. I had to go in it in a positive light. So I went to a new classroom. I changed all my decorations. I made everything brand new. I made it a happy place. I made it a place for me to be like a home away from home. I had that happiness there when I walked in every day. I had my happiness. I embraced the subject. I learned about it. I did my research, and I tried to find exciting things for the kids to do, and I enjoyed it. And then I waited. And so as I taught that for 2 years, I got in last year, I was asked if I would move again. And I was like, oh, Lord, change again. Okay. How old am I? Okay, I can do this. Well, it was another subject, Georgia history. And so I started thinking about it, and I thought, well, this is pretty cool. I looked at the curriculum, and I thought, oh, this is going to be awesome. So I was like, yes, I will absolutely, yes, I can do the Georgia history. And so once again, I moved all my stuff. Now, if you've been teaching for 24 years and you know that I don't throw anything away. If we need a toothpick, we're going to have a toothpick. If we need a straw, we're going to have a straw. I mean, I've got everything. And so moving twice or 3 times is hard. So I have purged all my stuff, because I have a lot of people look at my room and they're, oh my God, how do you get all that in a cabinet? But yes, I do. I get it in a cabinet.
Oh, yeah.
But so I have this year has been amazing. I made a whole new classroom. I have lights. My children came and helped me. We painted the walls to make it more fresh and new. So it's my happy place, and so I just I've embraced it again. I've looped up with these kids, so I know them, and that can be good, that can be bad. But I feel like I'm doing more. I'm going to their games, and I'm going to their 8th grade nights, and I'm trying to be who they need me to be. If that makes any sense. On the mornings when I say my prayers, I say, God, please help me to be the teacher these kids need me to be. Help me to say the right thing. Help me to do the right thing. Help me to be who they need me to be. Because I know that it's not just about Georgia history. It's about making relationships and having them understand, that you care about them. And it took me moving and doing all this and all this happening to me for God to show me what my new purpose is. I feel like He's given me a new purpose to, not that I've made differences, but I'm trying harder now because I want to make more differences and have these kids see that what they're doing and what we're doing in life really does make a difference. So I'm a happy camper, and I want to say that the change was awful, but it did cause me to see and learn and read. I had to persevere. I had to not give up. I had to keep going, and knowing that it hurt my heart that I couldn't teach math anymore, but it was also a blessing in disguise because look where I'm at now. I've grown as a person. I've grown. So it was big. It was very big.
Oh, I agree. I remember. Do you think the fear of failure came into?
Oh yeah. I worried how people would see me. I worried they're like, oh, well, she must be a bad math teacher because they put her out of math. I worried that people would think that about me. And then I had to think of all the kids that have come and told me, Miss Ridley, you really helped me in math because, Miss Ridley, I became a math teacher because of you. Miss Ridley, you always worked with me and you were so patient with me, and now I understand math. Or, Miss Ridley, you gave me confidence that I could do right in math. Those are the people that I had to get in my head. Not that, I never taught gifted math. I never am ever. I've always never taught it. I've never taught the gifted students in math. So my scores, I knew, were never going to be where they wanted them to, those scores.
Right.
So I took who they gave me, and I did what I needed to do to make them learn the 6th grade math, the curriculum. And I feel like I did the best that I could. Knowing that I did the best I could, then I knew there was nothing else I could do. I knew that I had not let myself down, that I had done everything that I've ever wanted to do, and I knew in my heart that I was I'm a good teacher. I had to. It was almost like I had to look at my self-worth, and on that other podcast we talked about, I had to reevaluate who I am and know that I did, and I worked my butt off, and I did what I was supposed to do. I didn't do anything wrong. There was, it wasn't anything I did wrong. It was just the fact that, I wasn't doing something. It wasn't enough, I guess, the scores where they wanted them to be. So.
I think it's interesting, though, as far as teaching goes, you brought back from, are we worried about data or are we worried about people? And, that does lead us to self-doubt. I know when I was moved out of the classroom into my current position, I went through the same things that you just described, and it was, covered, am I burned out? Do I just need to step away? What have I just spent 33 years doing and should have done something else? Have I progressed as a person, as a teacher, as in all these years. So, when we do have those doubts or those feelings, perseverance is a good word. I mean, it is such that we have to force to move on. And whether it's a forcing because of a paycheck or, for me, I don't know what else to do. You know, we're now in 35 years and I teach. I teach on college level. I teach driving. I teach. So as far as another career field to step into, well, yes, there's a lot of career fields we can go into. They still come back to that one word or service. So, all of those emotions that you just described are what lead us to giving up. And it's what leads us to wanting to step off the carousel or stop. So how do we get over it? How do we move from those self-doubts, burnouts, wanting to quit? What do you think, Tia?
In Miss Ridley's case, in Christy's case, she did realize her self-worth. Is what she had. That's what she did.
Yeah.
And she basically realized, and she did call me whenever this occurred. She called me, and one of the things that I recall saying to her is, you're a great teacher. You have the skills. It doesn't matter what the content is. The skills are the same.
That's true.
They're going to transfer.
Yeah.
And so you're just going to take it into that same content, into that new content, and do the same thing you were doing. So it was really great for me to hear her say she realized her self-worth and all of that, which if she didn't have the perseverance, she probably would not have gotten to that point where she realized she still had that worth.
Okay. Miss Wales.
Well, I guess to break it down even further is sometimes you just got to make a house payment. So they ask you to teach a new subject, new grade, new place. You just have to buckle down and say, got to make this house payment, got to raise my kids, they got to eat, we got to buy groceries. I'm going to have to do it. And then work through emotionally what you got to do because you don't have a choice. And sometimes you're going to be backed into that corner. And when you are, I know one time I wanted to do a little bit more to help my kids, and I got a little part-time job on the weekends, and it's calling people on the phone. And I'm like, I can't talk to people I can't see and I don't know and strike up a conversation with them. But I kept saying to myself, do I want this paycheck? Then I'm going to do it. And so even though I was very uncomfortable, extremely uncomfortable talking to people I don't know, sometimes you just have to make yourself do it. You say, I'm not going to be good at this at first. And people rarely are very good at what they do at the beginning. But you're going to get better and better and better. And the more confidence you put in yourself, the more time, the more experience, you get better and better.
We've got a quote here on our notes that I really want to make sure I bring up. And the quote is, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And that without persistence, we would never achieve our dream. Now, dreams change. Our goals change. Having worked with Miss Ridley right after she became a Ridley and listening to her dreams and goals, her first year of teaching, and then seeing how you have progressed and changed and all. A lot of times what we dream of in the beginning is not where we end up. And so we have to stay persistent in getting better so when opportunities present themselves. I just wanted to teach second grade. That was all I wanted. And now I've taught everything but fifth, and in all content areas and in all kinds of ways. So our dreams just kind of change, and how we want to live our lives change. But we've got to stay working toward those new goals and keep making new goals. So, what are some ways that we can keep things going? Whether it is because of burnout or self doubt or, not sure or needing that extra paycheck. What are some ways we can tell people to keep moving? Oh, yeah. Tia, you good at this.
Miss Wilkes, I was gonna bring up something. We all know Miss Wilkes is a Georgia history teacher for a long time, and then Miss Wilkes got a new job.
I did.
And so, how did that affect you, Miss Wilkes?
Are you talking about my current job or when I went to the
Yeah.
math classroom?
Big job. Big job.
Current.
I thought you were
Yeah.
talking about when I went to the math classroom. I was like, ooh.
You're doing something a lot different now.
Oh, I remember when you did that
she did.
math.
She was a good math
Oh.
teacher.
Yes.
Yeah, she called me on the day it added to her certificate going, I do not know what these people are thinking. And then she called me and said, I don't know what these people are thinking. They just told me I'm teaching it.
There is a lot of opportunities to realize that you do have to put in some grit, I guess. That's how we used to call it.
Yeah.
One, I didn't know what I was doing when I went into this position that I'm in now, which is basically coaching, adult coaching, basically. Because you are so used to working with kids, and now you're having to work with adults. So it's different. And what you think works doesn't work. And so you have to keep going back to the drawing board and saying, now what am I going to do? How am I going to get this to work? And how do I convince this person to do this? So, yeah, it's a lot of effort on the backside where you don't necessarily do that in the classroom with kids. A lot of that work is you can do on the fly in the classroom because you can kind of interact with the kids as you go. But you can't do that whenever you're coaching adults. You have to actually go back to the drawing board and think things through and things like that.
Well, and two, you're dealing with adults who, in some cases, are expecting you to walk in and have the perfect answer, and they don't want to waste time with you if you don't.
That is true.
Kids are a little more patient, and like you said, we can come up with things on the fly, whether it, and in all honesty, whether it's with our students or our own children or our coworkers, we can come up with stuff on the fly. But when you're in a position like you are, the expectation is, I don't have a lot of time. Tell me what I need to do. Make sure I do it well, and then leave me alone.
Yes, I've had to grow a lot as an educator. It's different than you are when you're in the classroom. It's a different type of education and growing in your profession. But I did have to change the way I thought about things, and that not everything is going to go exactly like you think it's going to work. And that's
Life.
yeah. But in the classroom, it seems like whenever you do a lesson plan, for the most part, things are going to go the way you think it's going to go. You're going to have a few bad lessons, and the kids are like, oh, my gosh, this is dumb. Why are we doing this? But you can get through the lesson. But with adults, you have to learn how to adjust to meet their needs a little more, I feel like.
Okay. So what I've heard from your story is even after the stages of grief, you started making small goals. First thing is I'm purging.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm getting new stuff.
Cried as I threw all those math folders away. Yep, sure did.
Then
Because I had worked so many years getting those folders together. Yes, I did. Yes.
I'm not telling you how long I held on to all my stuff when I left the position I was at with you
Oh,
guys.
I got rid of mine quick.
Oh,
I think I left mine out of Dyersville.
Oh, no, I didn't.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Edit.
So we got to, when we're put in a position that we're not prepared for, we don't really want, and we've all been there. Or maybe we've wanted it, but it's not what we thought. So we set our small goals, and we look at those as successes moving toward where we ultimately want to be, right? Well, what about the why? Now, Tia, you talked about working with adults and how it's very different. How do you hold on to your why? You and I are working together. You're trying. I'm not getting better, or I'm not understanding. How do you hold on to that?
I know we've had the conversation in the past that we both I'm going to say early on in our career, but kind of like in the middle of our career, we both realized we wanted to be in a position where we could help teachers be better at their craft. Because if they're better at their craft, then we know that the kids are going to get the better end of this deal.
Right.
And so that's why I keep on going, and I'll do the research on the front end and do all those things that I need to do that I realize I have to do in order to be effective when I'm working with teachers. That way, that's my why, is because I know in the long run, the kids are going to get the better end of the deal.
Okay. So what's your why?
My why is so I guess it's really not the curriculum. It's not them learning. It's me building these relationships with them so that they become better people. You know, you want them to be, you learn about, well, this is why we learn this and this is why we learn that. And, the learning is important, but you eventually, you want to be able to see them succeed and be successful. And you want to make these kids see their self-worth and their have a better self-esteem. And in middle school, it's really hard because that's something they're battling on an everyday basis. They can be mean to each other and bullies and all that good stuff. But as long as you can have these tiny little battles that they see, oh, okay, I can do that. Oh, I need to do that. Okay, I can pass that. Just how are you doing? One of the things that I try to do every day, it is one of my main goals, is to say their name. Call them by their name every day. Because some kids don't hear their name. They don't hear somebody else call their name unless they're bad. You're constantly calling on those bad kids, but those quiet kids that just sit there and do everything they're supposed to do, never get in trouble, I try to say, hey, how are you? How's it going? I try. That's my goal every day, to have a conversation with all my kids, or at least call them by their name. How you doing today? That's important.
Not in my world.
But
I can't stand hearing my name.
Oh,
I default back to, if my mama said my name, it was bad.
that is true.
And
Yeah.
so, if you
Especially
heard
if
your
it's
name
your full
over,
name.
or if you heard your name over the intercom.
Yeah,
There
and
was-
everybody's like,
Oh, yeah. So, no. I you greeting me every day by my name would,
Ooh.
that'd make. So, anyway,
Yeah.
what were you going to say,
I
Tim?
was going to say, I agree with Christy on the comment that she's making about the kids and social studies. It's a subject in which the kids can be successful and not have to do things like, I'm really good at math. People are told, oh, you're born good in math, or you're born good with being a writer. Social studies is one of those things that you can be good at because you've worked at it. Mm-hmm. You've persevered through it. You put in the effort and the time. And everybody is a citizen, which is what social studies is. Mm-hmm. So it is already them. We just have to help them through it sometimes. Mm-hmm. So, I can understand why she would want to continue with social studies and enjoy social studies like she says she does now.
oh, yes, it's awesome.
Now she sees why I
We
loved
can
it so
relate
much.
to it because we live
Picture
here.
Mike a little bit. You bleaking in and out. So.
Now she sees why I loved it so much.
Yeah, I see.
Ah.
I love it.
If I recall correctly, you told me one time you loved it because there was no pressure.
Well, it was easy. It was easy for me. It came natural to me. It's an easy subject for me. So, yeah, there's no pressure. Mm-hmm. When I was teaching math, there was a lot of pressure. I had to work hard.
And then
poor-
you have
those poor
stories. Everything
kids.
can be a story.
Yes.
And that's the cool part about it.
Well, see, I like it because all of these learning styles and kids that aren't successful in math or English, they can do creative activities. They can create a PowerPoint. They can create a song. They can do. So you have a little more flexibility in allowing the students to bring in who they are, which again goes back into the other podcast of self-worth. It also goes into teaching students how to persevere, because if they think you're really listening, and just like any human in any situation, if they think you care and you're listening, then they're going to work harder to get through struggles. And that's essence of perseverance. You've got to get through blank. Whether it's dealing with, the change of a job or the loss of a loved one. I mean, there's so many challenges that present that we do have to get through. And so, whether it's finding the why, like you were just talking about, or setting those goals, what else about advice to help somebody get to that next step?
Well, I know when it came to sports, she would tell your kids 15 more minutes. Give it your all, 15 more minutes. And sometimes goal setting just for a short amount of time or a short amount of reps, that would help the kids. Or afterwards, when you get done, the promise of, okay, once you get done, you're done for the day. You can go back home and go to bed,
Yeah.
But you got to have something built into your psyche that tells you, don't give up because of this. It could be basic survival for some kids and some adults, but also if they're doing something that's extracurricular, they don't have to do. It can be a passion, but it can be something they really, truly don't want to do. But, seeing that 15 more minutes on the scoreboard, just give it your all, 15 more minutes, and then it's over, poof, and then you have the confidence and you have the passion, you have the, I did this, the pride about yourself that, hey, I did this, and it's not easy, or else everybody else would do it. Teaching's not easy, or else everybody would do it. So just, I think everybody's why might be a little different, and everybody's whatever motivates you to keep going and never quit might be a little bit different too.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to tell kids that they don't have to compare themselves to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're on the swim team doesn't mean you have to be the best swimmer. Mm-hmm. But go ahead and say, I'm going to do better than my last swim.
Very good.
My personal bests. So if you're in the classroom, I'm going to do better on this test than I did my last test. Mm-hmm. You do not have to be the top in everything. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to be the top in anything.
Mm-hmm.
But
just be your best.
Just to be the best of who you are. Mm-hmm. And that's what is the most important part of, I think, in terms of perseverance, is being the best you, not a second best somebody else.
Well, you brought up the perfect word, compare. Earlier, I did a podcast on compare and despair, and that's basically what we've created, is this culture of comparison, whether it's with social media or sports or whatever, and I am extremely competitive, and I don't get in something that I think I might lose at.
I know somebody else who's very competitive over there on the other side of the table.
That's why we would sometimes meet off campus. But comparing ourselves to others, we don't know the whole true story.
Exactly.
So I could compare myself to Rhonda. And on paper, we do look very similar, not just because people do think we're sisters, But on paper, we are very similar. The competitiveness, the I'm going to get it, you're going to get it because I said, that kind of thing. But in reality, we're still very different. And so, comparing myself to Rhonda would basically kind of take away from my self-worth, take away from me wanting to get better, because if I'm comparing an idolized version to her, I'm never going to be her. And I don't want to be. I want to be, like you said, the best me I can be. And that's where I've got to keep working. I don't know if y'all remember, years ago, we used to make the students memorize the poem Don't Quit. Do y'all remember that? It was before you came, but one of the objectives, goals, standards, whatever you want to call them, was they had to memorize one thing. And it could be a poem. It was, for English, it could be a poem. It could be the preamble, the Gettysburg Address. It could be anything. But we had them memorize what is an attitude. And then we had them memorize Don't Quit. And the poem was all about perseverance. And I was looking at it because I was trying to figure out how maybe we could fit it into this, but it's just too long. But a couple of the lines were, just when you think you're about to quit, don't. Because when that mountain seems so far away, it might just be the next thing you do. Our goals are closer than we think as long as we don't quit. And what we're working toward may change. And rest if you have to. But don't quit. And so in dealing with high school students where I am now, and listening to your stories and other stories and all, I do think we've kind of got I quit attitude in society to a degree. Because I don't know if adults, students, know how to persevere. I don't know that they really understand, if they don't have that competitive spirit, you're not going to beat me. This isn't going to beat me. One of us is going to win, and it's going to be me. I don't know if I see a lot of that anymore. We always use the story of Michael Jordan, trying out, not getting, and then he becomes Michael Jordan. And we talk about J.K. Rowling, who, Harry Potter and all that. And she's actually writing Harry Potter, on the train. And she's rejected by all these publishers. And all of a sudden, it's Harry Potter, the movie. And she's wealthy and, but one of the characteristics, and Michael Jordan said this really well in an interview, he said, I didn't care that my high school coach told me I couldn't play because I knew I could. He said, it hurt. I didn't like it, but I didn't care because I was not going to let him define who I was. And so he kept doing what he had to do. Then we see who he is. I don't know if we share enough of these stories, or if students hear enough, or adults hear enough. Because think about it, some of the adults who may tune into this don't really have anybody in their corner going, you got this. Don't quit. Don't let that divorce define you. Don't let the loss of define you. Take a break if you need to. Take a long hot bath. Take a shower. Take a nap. But then come back and let's get back to it. I don't know if we do that enough. Mm-hmm. What do y'all think?
I totally agree. We don't highlight those people who have a struggle. However, I think people like Michael Jordan and other examples you gave are pie in the sky type things.
Yes.
We need to be looking at those people in our community who have been able to get out of a situation and still be able to be successful and move forward in life.
I like
As our
that. I hadn't
examples.
thought that.
Because our kids are not
Yeah.
every kid's going to be able to be a pro athlete. Not everybody's a writer. But you can still be successful in life. We just got to figure out where in your community those opportunities are available.
I like that. You're right. We do.
We always want to go to that top person
Yeah.
as our example. But we have so many that we can use in our community that we don't. Classroom teachers, a lot of those people persevered to get to
Yeah.
where they are, and we don't highlight them.
And, I don't know that we share teachers overall,